Welcome back to 6-Minute Math, where we turn confusion into clarity 6 minutes at a time. Thank you for joining us today for our video on solving multi-step equations, the extended version. Please ring that bell to get notified of more 6-minute content coming your way. Because we are doing an extended version today, we will not have a time limit, so let's get into our key points. Our key points when we are solving any equation is that we will be using opposite operations to isolate for the variable. We want to get the variable alone on one side of the equal sign, and we use our opposite operations to do that. We can think of any equation like a balance scale with the equal sign in the middle. To isolate for that variable, if we were to add on one side of the equal sign, we need to add on the other side to balance it out. If we were to multiply on one side of my equal sign to isolate, we still need to maintain equality by multiplying on the other side. So let's look at some examples. We're going to solve for y in 3 times 2y plus 8 equals 2y plus 16. And I have my balance scale to remind me that anything I do to one side of my equal sign, I need to do to the other. So my first step for this equation is actually going to be to distributive property my 3 to get rid of my brackets. 3 times 2y is 6y, and 3 times positive 8 is positive 24. That is going to equal what I have on my right side, which is 2y plus 16. At this point, I need to have my variables all together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this 2y to the left-hand side. And how do I do that? Is I'm going to subtract 2y. Because of my balance scale, if I were to subtract 2y on the right side, I would subtract 2y on the left. So let's see what I have remaining. 6y minus 2y is 4y. My plus 24 doesn't get touched. Equals 2y minus 2y cancels each other off, and then I still have 16. I want my variable by itself, so I'm going to subtract 24. And if I subtract on the left, I need to subtract the same amount on the right. So let's see what I have remaining. I have my 4y. My positive 24 and negative 24 cancel each other off. And that is going to equal 16 minus 24 is negative 8. I'm going to write that here just to give myself some more space. So my last step is I need to isolate for the y. So I'm going to divide by my coefficient of 4. And if I do it on one side, I have to do it on the other side as well. My 4's cancel each other off because they're opposite operations. And I'm left with y equals negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. Let's check out another example. We're going to solve for x in 4x plus 1 equals 2x plus 5. My first step, anytime I see brackets and I'm solving equations, is I'm going to distributive property to get rid of my brackets. 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times positive 1 is 4. That's going to equal 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times positive 5 is 10. I need to get my variables on one side of my equal sign. So again, I'm going to get rid of this 2x by subtracting 2x from both sides. 4x minus 2x is 2x. I still have a plus 4, and that is going to equal my 2 and negative 2x cancel each other off, and I still have a 10. I want my variable by itself, so I'm going to subtract 4, and because I am doing equations, I need to subtract 4 from both sides. My positive 4 and negative 4 cancel each other off, and I'm left with 2x equals 10 minus 4 is 6. On to my last step here, where I want my x by itself. So I'm going to divide by that coefficient of 2, and I'm going to maintain my equality by doing it on both sides. My 2's cancel off because they're opposites, and I'm left with x equals 6 divided by 2 is 3. Let's check out another one. We're going to solve for x in the following. Again, I see some brackets with some binomials in the middle, so I'm going to use my distributive property to get rid of those brackets. If you need some help with distributive property, check out our video here at 6 Minute Math to help you learn that process. 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 5 is 10. I still have a plus 4, and that's going to equal 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. And then I still have a plus 2. Now at this point, I can combine my like numbers on each side. So I'm just going to simplify this to 6x plus 14 equals 4x minus 2. For this specific example, I'm actually going to move my variables to the right. So I'm going to move this 6x. So I'll subtract 6x from both sides of my equal sign. 6x minus 6x cancel out, and I'm left with positive 14 equals 4x minus 6x is negative 2x minus 2. I now need to get rid of this negative 2 because I want my variable by itself. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides, which will leave me with 16 equals negative 2x because my negative 2 and positive 2 cancel out. I will rewrite that to give myself some more space for my last step of dividing by that coefficient of my variable. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. 16 divided by negative 2 is negative 8, and that's going to equal x because my negative 2's cancel out as they are opposites. And then I'm always going to write my variable first, so x equals negative 8. Let's solve for a. Again, I see some brackets, so I'm going to distributive property. 3 times a is 3a, and 3 times positive 2 is positive 6, and then there's still a minus 4, equals 2 times a is 2a, 2 times 5 is 10, and then we have minus an a. I'm going to combine my like terms on each sign of my equal side. So I have the following that I can combine. You know what? I'll use different colors for that side. So I'm going to simplify each side of my equal sign. I'm going to have 3a plus 2, which is positive 6 minus 4. And that's going to equal 2a minus a is just a single a plus 10. I'm going to subtract an a from both sides. What that is going to do is cancel out my a's on the right side. So all of my a's will be on the left. 3a minus a is 2a. I still have a plus 2, and that is going to equal 10. I need to get rid of this plus 2 now. So we use our opposite operation of subtracting by 2. And what do I have left? I have 2a, positive 2, negative 2 cancel out. And that's going to equal 10 minus 2 is 8. On to my last step here, where I'm going to divide by that coefficient of 2 in this case to cancel out, leaving me with a equals 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4. How about solving for m in this long process? So again, I'm going to distributive property. To get rid of my brackets. 6 times m is 6m. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. And I still have a 2m on that left side. And that is going to equal 3 times 2m is 6m. And 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. And that's plus 9. Now I'm going to combine my like terms on each side of my equal sign. On the left, I have some m's. And on the right, I have some numbers. 6m plus 2m is 8m minus 18 is equal to 6m. Negative 15 plus 9 is negative 6. I'm going to subtract 8m from both sides. Those cancel out, which puts my m's together on the right. And I have negative 18 equals 6m minus 8m is negative 2m minus 6. I want my variable by itself, so I'm going to add 6 to both sides. Negative 18 plus 6 is negative 12, and that's going to equal negative 2m because the negative 6 and positive 6 cancel out. My last step is dividing by that coefficient of my variable. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. Negative 12 divided by negative 2 is 6. And that is going to equal m. As my coefficient of negative 2 cancels out. And then I always want my variable first. So m equals 6. How about solving for n in this long process? We have a lot to do here. We have 3 distributive properties we are going to do. If you can do this problem on your own, you are in great shape for solving equations. So we have 5n plus 5 minus 4n plus 6. And that is going to equal 3n plus 12 minus n. I'm going to combine my like terms on each side of my equal sign. So there's my variables I'm going to combine, and then I'm going to combine my constants on the left-hand side. So after I do those combining, I'm going to have n plus 11, 5n minus 4n is n, and then 5 plus 6 is 11. That is going to equal 3n minus n is 2n plus 12. I'm going to subtract an n from both sides to cancel out my variables on the left, which leaves me with 11 equals 2n minus n is n plus 12. I need to get rid of my 12, so I'm going to subtract 12. And if I do it on one side, I do it on the other. 11 minus 12 is negative 1, and that is equal to n. My positive 12 and negative 12 cancel each other off, which gives me my final answer of n equals negative 1. Let's solve for y in the following. Now in this case, I need to find my lowest common multiple of my denominators to get rid of those denominators. I'm looking at 3 and 2, and my lowest common multiple would be 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides of my equation by 6. When you find that lowest common multiple and you use it to multiply both sides of your equation, what you will do is you will get rid of your denominators. So let's do that now. We're going to go 6 times 2 is 12, and then divide that by my denominator of 3. 6 times 2 is 12. Divided by 3 is 4. And then my bracket would remain as y plus 1. And I'm going to do that to the same process to the right side. We're going to go 6 divided by 2 is 3. And that's going to be multiplied by my top of y plus 2. At this point, I just have a normal solving with some distributive property. So I distributive property my coefficient in for 4y plus 4 equals 3y plus 6. I'm going to subtract 3y from both sides. And actually in the same process, because I am seeing that these will eventually cancel out, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. What this is going to do is in one step, I put my variables on one side and my constants or numbers on the other. 4y minus 3y is a single y. My positive 4, negative 4 have canceled out. My positive 3y, negative 3y have canceled out. I had an equal sign. And then 6 minus 4 is 2. Let's check out our last example here. We're going to solve for x in the following. So again, we have some division in our equation. So I'm going to find that lowest common multiple. If you need help finding your lowest common multiple, check out our videos here at 6 Minute Math about finding the lowest common multiple. For this case, my lowest common multiple of 3 and 4 is going to be 12. So that is what I'm going to multiply both sides of my equation by. Because I am doing it to both sides, I am not changing the equation at all. I'm just making it a little more simple to solve. 12 times my coefficient of my brackets 2 is 24, divided by 3 is 8, and then my bracket will remain the same of 8x plus 13, and that is going to equal 12 times 3 is 36, divided by 4 is 9, and that is multiplied by what's in the brackets. I use some distributive property here. Eight times x is 8x. 8 times 13 is 104. And that is going to equal 9 times x is 9x. And 9 times 12 is 108. I'm going to move my variables to the right-hand side and my constants to the left-hand side. So let's do that in one step like the previous example. We're going to subtract 8x from both sides. What that has done is it has canceled off my x's on the left. So now I'm going to subtract 108 on both sides, and that will cancel off my numbers on the right. You can see here I now have my numbers only on the left and any term with a variable on the right. So what do I have left? 104 minus 108 is negative 4, and that equals 9x minus 8x is a single x, for a final answer of x equals negative 4. Those are all the examples we have today for solving multi-step equations. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at 6Minute Math, and be sure to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment below for any topic you want to see me tackle in a future 6-minute episode. Always remember that the best way to get math is to practice math, so keep on practicing. And until next time, keep solving and evolving.